Hey, this is Josh Keaton, and you are listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
You've just jumped inside the pull bag. Join TFG1 Mike and the rest of the comic crew here at the GCRN as they make their great escape into comics. From DC, Marvel, and Image to IDW, Boom Studios, and Zenescope, we have everything right here. We cover things like Transformers, He-Man, superheroes, TMNT, and Radiant Black. Yeah, we have all that and so much more. It's all inside the pull bag here on the Geekcast Radio Network. So, without further ado, it's time to talk about the comics we're reading right now, here inside the pull bag.
Hello and welcome to the pull bag. This is an episode of this show, folks. As you've heard in a couple of the other episodes, if there's an intro at the beginning of this where I say something about don't worry about the numbering for now, I fucked it up. Anyway, I'm, of course, TFG1 Mike. Joining me for the first time in a while is Ryan the Uneven Flow Markley. Hello, sir. You are back.
And today we're talking about the Shield video game for PlayStation 2.
No.
Oh, right. Shield Comics. Okay. So that's about the
shield the comics industry from
that's
our
about
rage.
the WWE team. No? Okay. Hang on.
Wish.
There's...
We can't even read Shield comics anymore digitally. Well, we can, but it's in a really stupid way. All right, folks, this episode first came up from who's going to be my next guest on this episode, Nicholas Finch. He wrote a whole thread on Twitter, which I will hopefully embed or do something in the post so you fine folks can see it on geekcastradio.com. But Amazon and Comixology Amazon has finally, forced Comixology into itself or unto itself.
Wow, that sounds dirty. Hang on. Let me put I didn't know we were doing the After Dark version of this show.
Hey, there you go. Pull bag After Dark. It comes back. And
Amazon bought Comixology, and this is sort of the end result. And yeah, it's So, long story short, people who don't know, Comixology, probably the largest, I would say, since it started. Pretty much from the beginning, it was the largest comics site to purchase digital comics and potentially read them. Now, there is an app as well. I have used the app. I've bought comics digitally, et cetera, et cetera. So this is Amazon's relaunch of it, and there's going to be a whole lot of people saying, holy cow, what the hell is this?
So, okay,
So, holy cow, what the hell is this?
Wait, hold on. This is February 2022. It took Amazon 8 years, and insert Comixology into itself. I have been praising Comixology since...
the deal went down April 10th, 2014.
Yeah, but Comixology, to my knowledge, had been around since at least 2013, and they sold more than 4 billion pages of comics in 2013 alone digitally. So Amazon has been sleeping on this for 8 years, and now they are finally merging. Look, folks, on the pull bag, I have praised Comixology, I think, since episode 11 or 12, which was 9 years ago when we started this podcast. It was the whole reason that the podcast even continued past year one, and I've told this story before. I was sitting in my living room at the time. I had Welcome Back Frank, the big hefty version of Welcome Back Frank in my hand, not because of the content, but because of the weight of the book. I fell asleep, it fell out of my hand and hit the floor. The very next day, I went onto Comixology.com and signed up, and I have been buying comics on Comixology.com ever since then. Now Amazon is ruining our comics. So I'm sure Nicholas is going to have a whole bunch of things to say on this. I wanted to get your reaction really quick, Mr.
I don't care.
Ryan.
I just buy physical now again. No, I'm just kidding. So admittedly, most of my stuff is purchased physically now. I used Comixology pretty much exclusively when More Than Meets the Eye was, and then Lost Light was out. And the reason was the way Twitter and my Twitter is set up. If anything happened in it, I knew I was going to hear about it. And my delivery guy doesn't come by until Sundays. So I felt like I didn't really have a choice, and I had to quickly read the books as soon as I could, or else.
Yeah.
So yeah, but having said all that, so I've used it a fair amount. I don't blame Amazon for wanting to merge it all under the same umbrella. I wonder why they did it now, A.
Yep.
And then B,
why did they do it the way they did it?
Yeah, they pulled an Electronic Arts, which is they do a big merger years later or whatever, and then they immediately remove all the features that people liked and just dump it out. So the biggest one for me, and God, no, there's really two. All right, sorry. The two biggest ones for me, I can't find shit.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big problem. I don't know how is their site worse than trying to find comics and stuff like that on Amazon?
Yeah. So here's the thing, folks, and I'm sure that, like I said, Nicholas and I will go through this, and actually it's him who I have to thank for being able to even find this. So we've known about this merger for years. We've known about the implementation of Amazon getting comics. They hadn't fully, did the whole transition yet, but we've known about it for years that it was going to have. They basically just, held a Jack Kirby pen to our neck saying, we're going to cut your throat. We're going to cut you off. The Comixology website was a dream to use. You had smart lists. You had your library. You had wish lists. You had a place where you could click on that said my books.
I don't know that it was perfect.
Okay,
there were some issues I had with like the search functions and stuff like that. But yes, you're right.
Yes, but
it's still way better than it was. Yes,
I'm saying as far as the original layout of the Comixology website, now they do still have the Comixology app, but I read
more on that in a second. That'll be my second point. I
read my comics on my computer, folks. So you have to, here in the U.S., you have to go to. Oh, this is just stupid. Okay, so I scroll over to my account and lists. It says, your list, wish list, and then it says Comixology. You think, oh, I'll click on. No, don't click on that. You have to go down to, what is it? It's not browsing history. It's devices and something. Anyway, So. Manage your content and devices. That's what it is. So, I can see all the comics that I have. I'm not even actually buying any comics right now. I'm actually going to cancel the subscriptions I currently have. But as far as digital goes, but you can sort through newest to oldest, oldest to newest, A to Z, Z to A, and then author A to Z and Z to A. And nowhere, I'm looking at right now just for our own purposes because Steve and I have already done this. I am looking at Transformers Beast Wars number 12 from IDW Publishing. In order to read this book, the two main options on the Amazon website, deliver or remove from device, mark as unread. You have to click more actions, and then it says... First thing it says, delete, download and transfer via USB, clear furthest page read now. Read now should be the first thing that you shouldn't have to click on more actions. Anyway, your second thing was the Comixology app.
No, just to sort of finish that too, in terms of the website, I don't understand that Amazon's website is not perfect, period, but at least I can find stuff. Part of it is I've gotten used to it, etc. But it's the Comixology thing is not great. You can see that you own something, and then that's about it.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky, you can see you own something. Whatever. The second part is obviously the reader. The Comixology app and the Comixology reader online. So if you're on a website if you're on the Comixology website and you click on a comic you own, you want to read it, it had a lot of really neat features, including it would zoom into certain portions of the panels.
It was called guided view.
Yeah. It would zoom into certain portions of the panels before other parts. And the reason for that is it's kind of similar to leafing through the comic. Not to mention, it was a good way to keep from spoilers if there's something big that happens on the page to your right or something like that. Now, well, you can zoom in, but it's sure as hell not controlled very well. There's no options for controlling it, really.
No.
And your two choices are either zoom in basically the same way you would if you were controlling the magnifying glass feature in a lot of old programs, or B, try to read it in full screen.
Yeah.
Yippee. It's terrible. The guided view was great because you just kind of leaf along by hitting the right arrow key or something like that, if you wanted to. And just, why did they take it away? Because the Amazon Reader is terrible. And it's bad for not just this. So the other part of part 1 and part 2 are the same. This is the fact that they've merged it into the Kindle portion of the Amazon website. I have a Kindle. I've had one for years. The reason for this is I just don't have the room for physical books anymore. I read a lot of books, like a lot. In addition to, I'm probably well over 600 graphic novel trades. Actually, I'm probably way over that. Anyway, I have a lot. And that's my kind of physical collection, is mostly the comic trades. So I have a Kindle, and the Kindle store sucks.
Yes, it does.
Kindle store has always sucked, and the fact that they merged Comixology into that, what a dumb choice. And in addition to that, the Kindle apps also suck. Using an actual Kindle is great. It's a fantastic device. Trying to use their reader and anything else on anything else is awful.
Yeah. So I have the Comixology app, and it does still do guided view the way guided view should be, except even on my Google Pixel 6 Pro, I still have to, and it's not that big of a deal to rotate it, and it's fine. So it does work. So I'm not actively zooming. I am just doing guided view the way it has always been meant to do it. The thing is, I don't want to read comics on my damn phone. I want to read them on the 32-inch monitor I have. That's the way I want to read it, and I want to be able to do it simply with a UI that actually works, that functions properly. And especially as someone who's legally blind, this is not easy to find on Amazon's website. Like, I was expecting Amazon to not put, like you said, they've folded it into the Kindle store. So I have a whole bunch of whatever links and whatever at the top of my Amazon thing, all buy again, Prime, blah blah blah, all these links. You mean to tell me that in none of these places where gift cards are, or my Amazon or whatever, none of these like departments could say, oh, would you like to go directly to Comixology? Sure, let's do that. And all as they would have had to have done, they could have left the Comixology website the way it is, the way it was.
They should have just merged it into it.
That's what I'm. Yeah, like they could have just put Amazon.com/Comixology, like kept it the way it was and whatever. I don't know.
What I find weird, so again, you mentioned the conversation on Twitter about it, but there are other threads on Twitter that have pointed out that the guided view doesn't exist for everything.
No,
So when I'm saying that the guided view is gone, that's what I'm referring to, especially older books. Newer books, it actually works pretty well. But if you have older Marvel and DC stuff, it's just gone, which makes no sense to me.
No sense whatsoever.
It's so bad. And it does seem to be like per comic and depending on the company and everything else. And it's baffling to me. Yeah. It should just be everything should work
Yeah.
Everything worked fairly well in everything worked fairly well on the original website. It wasn't perfect, but
yeah, I mean, the guided view worked well. There was only a few books that maybe the panels were a little bit off, but I had been hearing about guided view from our fellow geek at Lady of Rec, Amy, for years before I even adopted Comixology. And when I finally did, I'm like, this is groundbreaking. This is everything I've wanted in a comic book app. Like, I never wanted to go to Marvel Unlimited or DC whatever it has, and I even tried DC several times, and it's not the same as what their guided view was, and it really sucks that the Amazon website does not. Zooming ain't shit, folks. Like, seriously, that's just dumb. I don't want to zoom in on the panel. I want to hit a guided view button that takes me panel by panel as it's a natural thing to read through the book. That was the whole point of guided view. It's storyboarded reading. And while I'm glad the Comixology app, at least for now, still has it, I don't know if I can continue to review comics on this podcast. I'll be saying this multiple times in this episode. I honestly do not know, because I switched from print to digital specifically because of my legal blindness. I have optic atrophy with nystagmatism, and in order for me to even read Ryan's tweet from 2 hours ago, my face has to literally be 2 inches away from my monitor. Should talk board games and stuff sometime. Like,
my tweets are not worth that much work.
Stop it. You know what I mean? But I'm saying, like, in order to read, like, I can see TweetDeck right now, but I really have to, like, lean over and get close to the screen in order to read the rumor that new Transformers collaborative project Trooper releasing in 2023, ? Yeah, you better put a question mark on that rumor, TFW. Anyway, folks, so as readers, like, we read comics because we enjoy them. We are not paid to read comics. I can't pay myself to do this podcast, and nobody's going to pay me to do this podcast. However, my next guest coming up, Mr. Nicholas Finch.
Ooh. Technical difficulties. Let's move on, shall we?
Like, really? Seriously? Why would you do this, Amazon? I don't blame anybody at Comixology. They got bought out, and even though it's still Comixology, the Comixology support thing is still there and whatever else, the website's gone, and it sucks, and I want it back the way that it was. And this isn't just me trying to live in the past. It's like Steve Megatron said when he first saw Nicholas's thread. That's how I saw the thread and how I reached out to the guy. Steve quote tweeted the first tweet in Nicholas's thread: "If it ain't broke, don't fix it." And while I'm sure plenty of people with search options and things like that, in order to actually purchase, subscribe, and read comics, Comixology at the time had been the gold standard, in my personal opinion, for over 9 years. And Amazon and Bezos just come in and just fuck it all up. I don't normally do, and this is why I'm glad you said at the beginning of this is a pull bag after dark, folks, because normally I don't get this riled up on this podcast, but I don't know where this podcast is going to go, because I'm sorry. Comixology was an everything platform. You had Image, you had IDW, you had Top Shelf, you had DC, Marvel, Vertigo, Valiant, what's the Dark Horse? You had all of the publishers. I have never said that the pullback was going to be specifically DC or Marvel Comics specific reviews. We have reviewed everything from multiple publishers. For me, comics is all about my personal favorite franchises and characters. I follow Iron Man, even though I haven't read a lot of his comics lately, but I follow Iron Man, I follow Nightwing, I follow Batgirl, I follow Batman, whatever. Like, it isn't about the companies. So me, having to try to get a subscription to Marvel and DC and blah. No, that was why Comixology was great. It was because you could have it was the best golden corral buffet of comics. We'll be back after this, unless you have anything else you want to top this off with.
Yeah, I'm good.
This is Kevin Conroy, and I am the goddamn Batman.
Holy rusted metal, Batman! Huh?
Hello. So my name is Nicholas Finch. I'm a writer for Batman News primarily, but I've also written stuff for websites such as Greenlight Comics, as well as Comic Book Herald, which had an article I was particularly proud of. I've been working in the field for a little over 2 years now, and I've done a fair few things. Obviously, I'm a huge comic book fan, and I primarily work in like Batman-related stuff. But I've done stuff based on creators like Junji Ito, Brian K. Vaughan when he wrote Barrier, as well as the occasional manga like My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness. I like to review a lot of stuff, and I usually use Comixology to get my content. When it comes to something like trades, especially stuff like My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness, or a few stuff I've gotten recently, like Animus, I like to get those physically. But for the most part, I get comics digitally, and the big place I get them through is Comixology. So the recent announcement, I shouldn't say announcement, I suppose the recent change to the Comixology website has had a huge impact. I made a Twitter thread about it that kind of covers it from a browser perspective, but there are a lot of other different things that have happened to it on phone and tablet. Generally speaking, to my understanding, it is not as bad on phone and tablet. There are some issues, like I think the format is a little different. You have to re-download your stuff. Sometimes there are sync issues. But for the most part, the major change is to the desktop. Because on your desktop, where a lot of people do like to read comics, Amazon has essentially completely destroyed the Comixology website. Amazon bought Comixology several years ago, and for the most part, they didn't really do anything with it. They kind of let it operate independently. It was not really put under too much scrutiny until recently, and I think the logic was that they believed Kindle audiences in the comic headspace would be in the comic space would be able to give comics a higher reach. To which, it's an interesting point, but I would probably counter in that, one, comic books and regular books are just a different field altogether in terms of how they are consumed, how they are bought, how they are perceived. There is some overlap, especially in the graphic novel scene, but you should treat them as separate entities for the most part. And more than that, I think I would argue maybe it would go down a little bit better if your website wasn't fucking shit. I don't know. I mean, I've never had huge fondness for the Amazon website in general. I think the Amazon website is a little unseemly. Like, it's fine, it gets the job done. But to me, it's always felt a little clunky. Felt like the remnants of something you'd find in, like, 2009 internet. And so to see that Comixology, a website which kept very updated, it was very catered to see that has been cannibalized into a website that I already find outdated is really frustrating. And I think their priority here is Kindle, tablet, to some extent phone readers. And to those people, only so much will happen. But for online readers, of which I know many personally, this has kind of screwed us over. From a work perspective, I need the website Comixology and the reader in particular to cover a lot of things. The first one being, I have an article called Upcoming Comics, and I publish that every week. And the thing about Upcoming Comics is that what I try to do is I don't just say, oh, here's every Batman book coming this week. I also try to say, okay, here are the other books in DC coming this week, and in terms of the Batman books, here is the description, here is the creative team. And the thing about that is that it's quite easy to get that information from Comixology, where it is regularly updated. It's not as updated regularly on even the DC main site, But wherever you go to find that information, it is not going to be as accurate as it is going to be on Comixology, where that stuff is updated regularly and consistently because it needs to be. And the information is still technically there on the Amazon website, but it is muddied under so much gunk. Like, I'm looking at the store page for Detective Comics 1053 right now, and this is one of the things that I screen capped in my Twitter thread, kind of breaking down how specifically this all works. And for example, when it comes to the people who made it, you have Maruko Tamaki and Matthew Rosenberg as the authors, which, yeah, I'll get back to that in a second. And then you get to Irvin Rodriguez for the cover art, and then it says, and 4 more. So for starters, you're immediately burying the people who work on this book. The people who are responsible for making this, you're fucking hiding it. Whereas in Comixology, this was something you could clearly see. This was something that was on display all the time, very accessible, and I have to imagine from a creator's perspective, it is very upsetting to see your name, what was once front and center, now kind of shoved into the and more section, because, in case you didn't notice, the interior artists are not here. You have to open it up to get to them, and then we get to the subject of the word author. I kind of take issue with it with comics. I know generally speaking it means writer, but like in terms of a book, an author kind of is a very all-encompassing term. It's, oh, this is the person who made this book, who constructed it, which is not the case for comics, because comics are more akin to films where, you know, you have the writer and you have the artist who is essentially the director. So you're putting the writer far and away above the artist, who, to be honest, more often than not spends way more time on a book. You know, even if the book looks awful, an artist will probably spend more time working on it than a writer will spend writing it. And that sometimes translates to pay, but clearly it doesn't translate to publicity. And that's one thing that's very annoying. But honestly, the whole thing it's super fucking frustrating. I mean, the reader is completely broken here. And the reader is what I use to essentially grab screen caps for my reviews. And you'll notice if you go on, essentially can only view 2 pages at a time. And what's even more annoying is if there's a 2-page advertisement, they condense that down to 1 page. So you were looking at this 2-page ad on 1 page with a really heavy border, and then 1 page of a comic so zoomed out you probably can't see it. Would you like to zoom in? Sure. You have to double click on the image, and then it will zoom into that panel only, which is, I guess, their equivalent of a guided view now. But it's on desktop, it's terrible. It's baffling to me, because they had this sorted out. They had this figured out on, you know, in the original Comixology. They had a guided reader. They were updating it. They were learning how to make the reading experience better. And I honestly don't really understand why they've butchered it completely. And this isn't me being like, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here. When I say butchered, I mean in the literal sense that the functionality of the website has been taken away. It has been almost literally ripped, you know? And on a personal level, it's frustrating, because this is my job. You know, this is, I don't make much on this job, but every week I upload an upcoming comics. Almost every week I upload a review. I am usually making something for this website and putting it out into the world. And I'm quite passionate about that. But the problem arises is when they make it really difficult for you. And getting rid of Comixology, because that's essentially what they've done, it redirects the Amazon website now, is really harming my work and pretty much just my enjoyment. I mean, I put, God, how many dollars into Comixology over the years? It's got to be hundreds, probably thousands, to be honest. I found out how much I may spent in my physical store, and my heart fucking skipped a beat. So, you know, seeing that digitally must be horrifying. And now, honestly, I don't want to read a single one of the things in my library. This is kind of ruined the experience for me. And maybe I'll get to a point where I'll have a tablet and I'll feel comfortable reading on that again. But, one, this website has lost a lot of good faith from me. Not that it matters, they're fucking Amazon. But two, you know, like, how am I gonna it's going to take so long for me to build up that trust again. Or alternatively, it's going to take a fuck ton of time for them to rebuild the site's functionality if they want to keep it under the Amazon banner, which, what a stupid idea. Just keep Comixology. No one likes this decision. And I'm sure it's not about likes, but, I mean, I feel bad for the poor Comixology social media rep who must be tacking on the worst kind of hate now. Because, I mean, how can you not hate on this decision? I am genuinely asking here. I want to know who this worked out well for. Surely there were people in the room who were like, this is a bad idea, this is a bad idea. And I bet there were. I bet there were a lot of Comixology staffers who were like, we've worked on this site for fucking years, and you're going to take this away from us. And not only that, you're going to put it on your main website, a website which, I mean, frankly speaking, is just shit. And you're going to ruin the experience for everyone. How? Maybe give it some second thought. Maybe sleep on it. Maybe have a macchiato and just kind of ponder it. But no, they just kind of went full steam ahead. I mean, I'm sure they took a while. You know, we were warned in advance. I remember freaking out about it at the time, but then nothing happened, and I kind of thought it was over. But it's come up now, and I almost feel guilty for ranting about this compared to some of the other shit that's going on, because it makes me wonder where my priorities lie. But the severity of which this impacts my work, which is, you know, a passion, is really severe. And it's crazy that I mean, everywhere goes to Comixology to get published, but let's narrow it down to Marvel and DC specifically. It's shocking that they're not keenly aware of how this screws them. In fact, I hope they are more aware than they seem, because it would honestly be a good incentive for them to start making their own digital comics readers completely independent from Comixology. Which they kind of played at once before, but it was always inherently linked to Comixology, and I guess now we get to the conversation about digital media in general. For a long while, and kind of still to this day, Comixology is like Steam, in that it was kind of the only place you could go for digital content, with a few exceptions, and it was kind of hard to topple. Epic Games has kind of changed that. I'm kind of expecting something to come in for Comixology, but the thing is, at the end of the day, this kind of proves how fallible the system of digital ownership is. And everyone's been talking about digital ownership these days for very obvious reasons. But in terms of comic books and games and movies and content we want to consume and can and maybe should own physically, the fact that it is stored on this digital space shows how fragile that is, because you could easily get merged with Amazon and your website could become unfunctional, and then suddenly how much of your money has been wasted? You know, like how much of your money has gone down the drain because you can't read the things you want to read, watch the things you want to watch, play the things you want to play in the same way anymore? How is there a time limit on how much we should be allowed to own things in the digital landscape? Is that fair? I don't think it's fair. But then you get to physical stuff, and with shipping all over the place with COVID, you know, that's made stuff extra difficult. And I think we're just in kind of a bad situation in general, which is very frustrating on every possible level. But, I mean, I don't need to tell you guys that. This is, you know, we've all been living it. And, you know, I wonder, in a world where, you know, COVID didn't happen, what would these changes look like? How much of the entire comic landscape was impacted by COVID? I mean, you could write a lot on that, and I would want to, but I'm lazy. But ultimately, I think what it boils down to is the decision is fucking stupid. The Twitter thread I have breaks down exactly the details I found that make this thing so stupid. Please check it out if you feel so inclined. I think overall, it spells a very concerning future for digital content, as well as the concept of owning things on the web. And I think it, you know, makes you realize how important physical media is, and how important it is to, you know, value the things that you buy. But this shouldn't be a lesson we have to learn. You know, you bought something online. It is not your fault for wanting to value something in a way that isn't physical. This should be an incentive for us to keep the people in power in check, which is a good rule in general, and it's kind of a shame I'm applying it to fucking comics of all things, but the idea that these people can do what they want with the World Wide Web is ridiculous, and I think we need to start taking more drastic action to say, hey, we need to show you that just because you're rich doesn't mean you can fuck around the internet, fuck around with our stuff, and get away with it. And again, I should be having this rant about some cause that's way more important, but you know what, comics, they are the thing I've invested most of my money into, and so I feel like I have a level of justification for being frustrated about it, and upset, and mad, and I guess, ultimately, the moral of the story is fuck Amazon. And finally, I've tried not to talk about this because I have a job working in a professional comic book landscape. But piracy is certainly encouraged if you make the official means of accessing this content either inaccessible or ridiculously hard to access. Piracy is not something people should necessarily approve of, but this kind of situation would definitely make it inevitable. And I really wish they would consider that. I think more often than not, people are willing to pay. It's just what kind of experience you want to give them in return and how much they're willing to stand for. So thank you for having me on the podcast. My Twitter, for those who don't know, is @ObnoxiousFinch. I work for Batman News primarily. And you can actually find a short comic that I'll be making on my timeline soon. And hopefully that should be up before the end of February. That'll be a little horror. I'm very excited to make it. Thank you very much for having me on the podcast, and I hope you guys are having a great day.
All my work ruined! I hate Mondays!
Come here. I'm the best there is at what I do, and what I do can't be imitated, copied, cloned, or used without the express written permission of the Superhero Squad and Marvel Entertainment, LLC. Batteries not included. All rights reserved. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. We clear, bub.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. And folks, I have already said this in this next clip with myself and Lady Rec. Nicholas will be back on the podcast. I just wanted to put something here to let everyone know that I apologize for anything that has been repeated in this podcast, or that will be repeated in this episode of the Pull Bag. But coming up next, myself and Lady Rec talk about the Comixology thing, or the non-existence of Comixology, the nothingness that Comixology is essentially Azrael from Dogma at this point. It's in nothingness now. It's completely gone. But anyway, listen to what Lady Rick has to say after this.
So let's say you're looking for a podcast of your favorite 80s comic books, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Ninja Turtles, He-Man, etc. Where are you going to go to find us?
Welcome to Star Joe's Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan.
And I'm Chuck. That's right, everybody. We're the Star Joes. We host a podcast called Star Joe's Podcast, where we talk about your favorite comic books, your favorite toys of all the 80s properties.
Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Mask, Thundercats, Voltron, you name it, we cover it. If it's in the 80s, we'll cover it at some point.
Yes, so what you want to do to find us, you can go to iTunes, you can go to www.starjoes.com.
And remember, the Force will be with you.
Because knowing us is half the battle.
Toycast is back. We are talking toys once more here on the Geekcast Radio Network's Toy and Action Figure podcast. From breaking into the display case to our toy topic talk and the brand new Origins in Toy collections, where we get guests to tell us their toy story of how they got into toy collecting. Toycast is the only toy podcast you will ever need. Find us on geekcastradio.com and any podcatching client you choose to use. Now go forth, transform and transcend your toy collecting today while listening to Toycast.
Hi, I'm Terry Smith, the host of Music Talks, the podcast where I ask guests a simple but beguiling question. Choose a song from each decade of your life and tell me why these songs mean so much to you. Guests and listeners love this format, and if you want to find out why, then take a listen at musictalkspod.buzzsprout.com or use your favourite podcast app. Just search on Music Talks Terry Smith. If you'd like to be a guest on the show and talk to me, then send me a tweet at Music Talks Pod. I look forward to doing some music talking soon.
Because the world needs another movie podcast.
The Geekcast Radio Network presents for your listening pleasure The Cinema Geek.
Hosted by Amanda, Kevin, Matt, and Dan.
Each week we dive headfirst in the landscape of movies as we discuss movie news, play movie games,
go in-depth on reviews,
and even have a top 10 countdown or two.
Also, don't miss our director retrospective series, where we review noted directors' movies film by film. Bottom line is, if you love movies and love podcasts, you need to experience The Cinema Geeks.
You can find us on iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, or GeekCastRadio.com.
On the Simplistic Reviews podcast, we talk movies. We talk TV. We talk...
Hello, Julie, what the heck are you doing?
Trying to make our spots sound more exciting by adding explosions.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could have got the point across with sound effects, not the real thing. Car.
Download the show on iTunes or at simplisticreviews.blogspot.com.
I'm sure your insurance company will cover that.
No, they won't.
No, they probably won't.
Thank you so much, Nicholas Finch. I will have to have you back on the podcast here inside the pull bag to do your comic reading origins episode. Originally, folks, Nicholas and I were going to do that segment together, but timing and time zones and things, it just didn't align right or left, or it was kind of upside down, actually. So, as you know, I am TFG1 Mike. I've been here this entire time in this pull bag after dark, so it's going to get a little bit more toxic in here because Amazon done fucked up, like I said earlier. I have with me now, well, let's just say besides Michael Booth Ninja Powers giving me the title for this podcast and Steve Megatron, having me read Batman 13 from the New 52, the other reason why the pull bag is where it is at almost 500 episodes is because of Miss Lady Wreck and her always giving the Cybertronian comic reviews on Radio Free Cybertron and the Underbase and all of that. And every time she would do this, folks, she would, go gaga all over Comixology's guided view. And once I found it, I could not go back to print comics. Hello, you are here.
Hi, I'm here. But I've been kicked in the teeth. I've been thrown down a flight of stairs, and I've been given the middle finger by Amazon. Just saying.
Yeah. We're going to try our best not to repeat things that Ryan and I have already said in the first half of this episode, folks. And I kind of wanted to go through a chronology of Comixology. First of all, I did not know that in the beginning, in 2007, when they first started, they were, doing, physical books that you could pick up at your I only know Comixology as far as the digital aspect and buying and saving and reading and archiving. And, that's the other thing. Now with the Amazon switch, as of right now, as of this recording, until Amazon tries to fix it or whatever, you have no archive anymore. So all of the comics I've archived that I've already read that I didn't want in my library anymore, that I just wanted to archive them with Comixology, they are now, boop, in the library, whatever.
It's not organized at all.
No. I mean, they have ways to organize it, and I refuse now. I refuse to use the Amazon website. I will not. It is a jumbled mess, as we've already said.
I'd like to talk about that because I merged mine, obviously, because what was I going to do? The Comixology site is no more. It's literally just the Amazon website.
Yep.
And Oh my gosh. Can we say the most shat on merge I have ever seen in my life?
Yeah.
Because, like, as soon as the Comixology website goes down, you can't go to Amazon and just say, "Oh, comics," and start looking. You literally have to type in Comixology, and it's like you have to click on that, and then you have to click on something else that says Comixology. It's like they are the bad merge of the century. Or it's like, okay, yeah, we're together, but we're not really that together.
Okay, so Amazon on a whole. All right, and again, folks, if you're listening to this, like I said, I'm trying not to repeat myself. Ryan and I kind of already went through the whole where to find how to get to the Comixology thing. However, what I will say is... Did you talk
about how much of a crap job it is?
Oh yeah, that's yes, we have.
Okay, I didn't hear any of that, so I apologize.
Right?
Folks,
No, it's fine. I just want to reiterate because I'm on the main page of the Amazon website. Okay, the very top is the search bar. Fine. Search bar should be at the top of every website. You have all departments, you have this, you have that, you have buy again, whatever. You have all these, sections, okay? How hard is it to put, especially next to Prime or next to, let's see, what would be the best place, not Pet Supplies, in between pharmacy and live streams, you could put a Comixology tab. And we've already said this, Ryan.
Oh, you mean for every department that they have, like Amazon devices? Yeah, they don't even have that on the drop-down menu. When you go in there click on which department you want to browse through, it's not even there either. And it's like, really? And of course, I take that and I say that, and I'm like going, okay, let's see. Do they have books? Oh, yeah, they do have books. But if you browse through the books, you're not going to find any comics. You're going to find legit text books, books that you would get that have no illustrations in those, or little kids books. Just books that you can, physical books that you're going to buy that you plan on getting that have no illustrations in them, or maybe kids. Maybe it's a child's book or whatever. But that's the thing, is that you click on books and you're not going to get. Mm-hmm. There's no options to go find comic books. It's just they're all books. And let me tell you, that's the other thing that really bothers me about this, is that how you bring it up on, and you guys already described how you go and find it. They're literally throw in comic books that you got from Comixology that have merged over to your Amazon account is literally just a shit show, unorganized, thrown all in with your digital book purchases, if you have any. And I have a few, but not a lot. And I really don't want all of those mixing together, even though I don't read them. I mean, I have a couple of purchases that I put on here because I had a Kindle app on my iPad. I had other apps somewhere else that I was, if I feel like, downloading that when I'm on a flight somewhere. And honestly, it was just maybe a book I've already read, and I just wanted to, read something while I'm on a flight somewhere.
Yeah, so, once you find the digital content tab, I have 49 pages. I can go to page 49, and the oldest thing I have in here is, for Comixology, is Batman Beyond 2.0 number 1 from 2013. Okay. Look, and again, you have, and this is so stupid. So, as I've already mentioned, I am legally blind. I have optic atrophy with nystagmatism. So, if I'm not 2 inches away from a screen, I won't be able to read shit. So, when you go to Hello Michael account and lists, okay, I see your lists, I see your account. Under your lists, you have your wish list, and then, you have Comixology. If you click that, it goes to my Comixology wish list that I originally had on Comixology.
Oh, so you do have a wish list, because mine's been deleted.
I guess. I don't know. So my point here is, because we've already covered this, but my point here is, on the Amazon website, if you scroll over hello, your name is accountant lists, I show wish list and I show Comixology. And my first thought was, oh, this is going to take me to the Amazon version of the Comixology website, because what they should have done was just put like Comixology.com/Amazon or Comixology.amazon.com and just had it whatever. But no, you have to go this, go that, whatever. So anyway, the thing is, I want to go back to 2013, 2014. There was an article on Wired.com. Amazon buys digital comics company Comixology, the leading digital comics platform responsible for the sale of more than 4 billion pages of comics in 2013 alone. Okay, they sold 4 billion pages of comics in 2013 alone.
Yeah.
I don't know what Amazon was. I don't know what Comixology was doing to get into trouble for Amazon to go in and buy them or whatever. But if you're selling 4 billion pages of comics digitally, I wouldn't think you're in that much trouble. Anyway, it says in this original article, which I will link in the show notes on the Geekcast Radio website, it, gives a thing of, buyout for an undisclosed amount, blah, 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 blah. CEO David Steinberger wrote that the sale makes Comixology's crazy goal of turning everyone on the planet into a comic reader more possible than ever before. He also goes on to say Comixology will retain its identity as an Amazon subsidiary, and we're not anywhere near done taking comics further, the letter continued. So this is from his letter from the original sale. And I'm
sorry, but here we are.
Here we are, 9 years later.
9 years later, and we have rolled, within 2 weeks, completely tanked the company, to be honest, in my opinion. It's completely rolled it back to the point where maybe we were when we started out back in 2014, maybe even further back than that.
Yeah.
You've taken digital comics that have moved forward in a decade, and you've rolled it back. This is not acceptable.
No. I started the pullback March 5th, March 6th, 2013. I did not actually go digital until maybe 24. Whenever it was that we did Marvelous March, and I know I've told the story before, so listeners, I'm sorry. But I was in the middle of reading Welcome Back, Frank from Marvel, the physical omnibus, which is basically 20 bricks put. This book in hardcover is fucking huge. So I'm holding it, and I'm reading it, and I'm loving it, and I'm understanding it, and whatever. All of a sudden, my hand goes limp, my eyes shut, and next thing I know, I hear a crash because I've fallen asleep holding this book because the book is so damn heavy. And I had kept hearing you talk about Comixology and how great it was. The next morning, I went on Comixology and signed up and got a library and got a wish list and did whatever, and I've been doing that with the pull bag for we've been online for 9 flipping years, folks.
Yeah.
And now I don't. It's nice that the Comixology app on my Google Pixel 6 Pro still works the way Comixology's website used to work. Who knows if they're ever going to change it? I hope they fucking don't. Because honestly, I am at the point now with these changes, and I'm sure they're going to say, oh, but we're going to make improve. Look, the only thing you had to change, the only improvement you had to make this more a part of Amazon and Kindle and what the hell ever, is to just put an Amazon tag like I already said, Amazon.com/Comixology or Amazon.comixology.com, whatever. That's all you had to do. You didn't have to change. It was so simple. I remember a couple of months ago, I knew it was the end times. A couple of months ago, how I used to do my comics and the monthly, when Transformers would come out once a month or whatever. Mm-hmm. I would buy myself a Comixology e-gift card. Mm-hmm. You went on there.
That. Yep.
You filled out the information, you selected your amount, you emailed it to yourself, and it was done and fine and whatever. And I think it was right before Karen passed away in September, October of 2021. sorry, the gift card program is shut down. And I'm like, okay, well then these are the start to the end times.
I know, and you've been saying for a while that, hey, things are not good on the Amazon side because you merged way before I did. Yeah. I didn't merge my account until like yesterday.
Well, see, the thing with me, like I went into like, okay, so you know how sometimes like Chrome or whatever, when you clear your cookies or you clear your browsing history or you clear whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes it will log you out of every website you've ever logged into kind of thing, and you have to re-log into it. I went to log into Comixology.com. It would not let me log in with my Comixology account. It told me the only way I could gain access to my account is if I merged with Amazon.
Really?
This was years ago.
I wonder if this was like if they targeted like specific accounts for that, because I have logged in and out of Comixology so many times in the last decade, and I've never been prompted like that before.
I forget. It was. I'm going to say somewhere between 2015 and 2017. I don't remember which month. I don't remember whatever. All as I remember is, and I even messaged them and said, blah, 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 hey, what's going on here? And they're like, no, it's okay. Just merge your account and then you'll gain access. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I merged my account because it was the only,
that was the only option. Yeah.
It stopped me from signing in. And once you merged your account, your Comixology account that you signed up for, which was separate from Amazon, once you merged it with your Amazon account, your Comixology account side, your login for that separate account, gone. Oh, God. So I had already been merged, and that was fine. Whatever. It is what it is. I didn't care about that. The only thing I cared about, and the only thing I still care about to this day, is them rolling it back and restoring the Comixology website, even though I know they most likely won't. And they say
it's gone. It's toast.
Yeah, and they say, oh well, I've read several other tweets and several things from the people from Comixology and from Amazon. Oh well, we're in the process of making improvements and we're gonna fix things, and I'm like, you're gonna fix things? Why did you fix it when it wasn't fucking broken?
Yeah, exactly. It was not broken. It didn't need to reimagine the wheel, and that's true. But I have a Kindle. I had a Kindle, Kindle like one of the device.
Yeah.
So back in 2017, when they said they would eventually merge with Amazon, I went on that Kindle and I bought a comic there. And I know what it was because I went back and checked all my receipts. This was 5 years ago.
Yep.
My youngest was 2. And I went and bought a comic and tried using like the Kindle, and I put it on the Kindle and I looked at it and it was terrible. I couldn't even read the comic. I could see it. I could see the art. But the zoom function was really crap. It was like, okay, so I bought this and it's not viewable. It's not viewable. Yeah. It has not changed in 5 years. So when they say, oh yeah, we're going to improve this. We're going to make it look great. I do not believe them because they haven't even made it viewable on the Kindle as of 5 years ago. They haven't fixed it. You think they're going to fix it now? It's like, I don't know who was thinking in Comixology that this was going to be a good idea, but you've been lied to. You've been lied to, and you've been given the middle finger. And now you're acquired, and now you've shut down your site, and you've merged effectively. And yeah, this is not good.
No,
I just do not believe that they have the ability to really improve this, because they have already had the chance to improve it for the last 5 years because they knew it was coming, and they still haven't done anything. Even the stuff that they already have that was already on the site that you could already buy for the Kindle app.
Yeah.
Nope. It's not been fixed.
And again, you didn't have to fit so for the Amazon side, I actually want to look at this while we're talking about this because I'm very, very curious now.
Okay.
So on the Amazon side, I am just going to find. God, I have. Seriously, I can't scroll. Stupid content. Oh, that's why it's my lists. It's not my content. See, that's the other. The page was still on my wish list. I haven't even bought any of this crap.
This is like the first time since I've actually logged into my account since I merged it, because I knew that they said when you merged it was going to take a couple hours to make everything show up, and they did put my wish list on a list in your lists. Which I have a lot of those because I have, 3 kids and they constantly make lists and I have lists. So it just literally just transferred over and it called Comixology. So I'm at least happy that I know what it was that I wanted to get. Now I can at least go, okay, all of those are the things that I do remember having on my wish list. And now it's going to still be crap to find them, because that's the other problem with having these on Amazon now, is that it's just so clunky to find. Is it a collection? Is it a single issue? And then when you find the single issues, it's like you have to go to a different page, and you have to do, it doesn't connect with the. It's like, oh, and then when, like, if you for us, like, we look up Transformers. You get Transformers, but it's like everything, and they don't even have the recent stuff up at the top, where Comixology used to be really good about that and said, here's the series that are ongoing right now, and you're going to find each one of them. And even if you type in the names, like say you wanted to say Transformers Galaxies, it's going to take you to an actual book rather than to the comic, and then you have to. So it's like you have to jump through hoop after hoop after hoop after hoop and re-verify when you've got the right thing, that you're actually buying what you think that you're buying. Because if you click the wrong thing, you're going to have something, approach your doorstep rather than an actual on the digital side.
Yeah, so I'm hoping I can remove all those clicks I just did while you were talking. I'm sorry for clicking while you're talking.
No, it's fine. Go right ahead.
Like,
welcome to digital comics as we know it. It's a click after a click after a click.
So I'm trying to see, like, okay, there is no cover, table of contents, beginning page, location. So what I'm trying to see is, and this is just ugly. So on the Amazon website, you know how when we had guided view, we open the book. I'm looking at Transformers Beast Wars number 12. The book would open. This is set to 2-page mode, so I have the Transformers Beast Wars Maximal Strike Back Part 3 and all the things on one side, and then the story so far. So it's like a full 2-page spread. Like, yes, Comixology had that option for you to do it that way, but Kindle doesn't seem to want to do that. And when you zoom in, zooming is not guided view, because I could look at this exact same book or any other book. Let's just say Radiant Black number 6, because that's the one I have most downloaded. The only problem I have ever had with the Comixology app from the beginning is when you're in guided view and you have to rotate your phone to actually be able to see the full panel and actually read the text on the panel.
Yes.
Because that's how guided view is on mobile. That's my only, and that's a small gripe on my part, as far like, I have to, while I'm reading this comic, I have to turn my phone like 10 times. That's much better than having to zoom on a website that I don't want to be zooming on.
Well, I just, I went and looked at one of my comics too. I'm just going to pick a single issue because I do not even want to try
no trades.
A big one.
Yeah,
no trade, just a single issue. So just to, like, when we had the Comixology app, you just click on it and it would automatically open into the whatever default that you had, either comic view, guided view, whatever it was that you had. You don't have a click like that. If you click on it, it's going to think that you're going to want to buy it. You actually have to go all the way over to the menu. You have 3 options. It's deliver or remove from device.
Yep.
Mark as read or more actions. Well, guess what? You click more actions.
Read now.
You have delete, you have download and transfer via USB, clear furthest page read, read now, add or remove from collection, gift now, manage family library. So it's like, and read now is not at the top.
Yeah, it should be at the top. That's where
it should be at the top. It should, I mean, like, it's not even an alphabetical. I thought, well, maybe it's an alphabetical order. No, because clear furthest page would be at the top. No, add or remove would be at the top.
Yeah.
So it's like, so when I click into the read now because I'm trying to look at it on my computer, I do not have a Kindle anymore.
Yeah.
The Kindle that I had got destroyed because I have 3 kids. So, and even if I did, it's an old Kindle. The one that we got was like really old. And I also have an old iPad, but up until a week, was it a week, 2 weeks ago, when Comixology, they hadn't, like, they had updated versions, but I could still listen, or I could still read a comic on my old iPad 2. That was, I think it's still iOS 9.
Okay.
And it was fine. Like, it was slow, obviously, but I could, like, easily still use that. But now I can't use that anymore.
No.
I have to use my phone screen, which is tiny in comparison to my computer screen or even my laptop screen. That matter.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I have the Google Pixel 6 Pro, which is like 6.7 or 6.8, whatever the diagonal thing is on the Pixel 6 Pro. And that's fine, when I have to rotate it and whatever, and it goes large, and I can still see the stuff to read the story. But the point is, I don't want to have to read it on my phone.
Yeah.
I want to be able to see the giantness of guided view on my computer. And I even asked them, and I never got a reply to this, but I said, okay, you have the Comixology app on Google Play and the Apple App Store and whatever else. So you have it there. What about the Microsoft Store so I can get the Comixology app on my computer? Nope. The Microsoft Store on Windows computers does not have the Comixology app, and it just so
it grinds your gears.
Yeah, and like I said, and I know I'm turning into a broken record, I don't know how I'm going to continue this podcast unless I just shut up and accept the fact that I can still read them on my phone for now until that eventually may go away. So
the other half of this, I mean, even if you can, even if you could read it on the computer, it doesn't zoom. There's no zoom function. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. Even if you go from panel to panel, it keeps it. And here's the problem: is it's formatted it specifically for a Kindle.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing I wanted to bring up. So it basically is. It's formatted for a Kindle. You can view it on a computer, but you have to have the biggest computer screen ever because it will not allow you to zoom in. So once you've done that, all you're going to get is what they call if you download it onto device, you have to take that file and put it on a Kindle. It's like where it said the options were to download to USB. Well, it's downloading it into what they call an AZW3 file, which is just another little fancy thing for literally Kindle. Now, you can take that and convert it. I haven't done it yet. I did download one to try it out. I have to find another app to put on my computer to do that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm having flashbacks of like the days at the very beginning before I even started running my own podcast, The Underbase, where I pirated a comic book. and I have to caveat this and say I have bought the comics that I pirated several times over since then.
Oh, absolutely.
I bought the physical version, then I bought the digital version. I have multiple copies of it. So, I mean, I pirated, I did fix that problem as soon as I knew better. So
obviously, because that's the thing. Like, that's the whole. Okay, so the whole other thing with Comixology was, if you were someone that just wanted a PDF and not have to deal with the awesomeness that is guided view, or that is reading through the old Comixology website, which no longer exists.
Yeah.
The other cool thing was they let you back up your comics in PDF form or CBZ form or some sort of downloadable form.
That was if the comics, when they put them on the website had worked out a DMZ-free workaround with Comixology. So they made it available. Not all comics did this, but a vast majority did, which made it really, really great to be able to download it to your own computers and stuff like that. But
more than enough of the comic
brings up another problem, though, is because let's just say this. Comixology was bought in 2014. It is now 2022. And for the last 6 months, actually maybe it's the last 8 months, they have keep on saying how, we're going to merge. We're going to merge, but we can't tell you when, but it'll be soon. And they've been saying that for over 8 months until 2 weeks ago when they just randomly did it. They didn't say anything. They didn't announce. They never set a date. They never said, guess what? This is our final date. We have chosen a date. It's like they couldn't do that. It's like, I don't understand why you can't do that.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you can't have a launch date and just say, hey, guess what? In 2 days, this is going to go down. So whatever you're going to do with Comixology, better do it because then you're going to be with Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, it just doesn't. It's very frustrating, and I know most people that listen to this episode are going to be like, hashtag first world problem, blah, 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 blah. But look at it this way. We just heard a clip from Nicholas Finch, who relied on the Comixology website and us that do this. Like, I don't get paid to do my own goddamn podcast. Not that I ever would, but like...
I never did either. It was all just because I felt like doing it for me.
Exactly. But the thing of it is we still need to be able to consume the content we're going to discuss the way that we had become accustomed to doing it. And it's not, and I've said this already in this episode, it's not just me with my whole oh my God, change is bad, blah, blah, blah. It's not just that. It's just that they've changed this to the point where it is unusable. All as they had to do.
Unless you have a Kindle. Unless you have a Kindle. But even then, understand that you cannot Zoom.
Yeah.
That is not available. These are being treated as if they are just like every other Kindle book. And there is a big difference between a Kindle book with just a book that's full of text and a comic book that is literally a merge of the visual with the dialogue. It's not going to be full text, but it's not going to be full artwork either. You're looking at like something that's made to be viewed where you can zoom in and appreciate the work that the artists have put into it, which unless you buy it hard copy, in some ways digital is a little bit better in that sense because when Comixology was running their real website, you could pinch and you could move in and you can actually look at all of these comics at a huge site, whatever, you could really zoom in and see the detail of the work that's been put in. It's an artwork. It's an art form. And this literally dumbs it down to, I can't even read some of the speech bubbles on most of the stuff that I'm reading on my laptop. And I now no longer have a digital device that I can view a comic in. So I'm going to have to think about, okay, now that I've got this big investment on Comixology that was very usable with all of the devices, even at different, ages, now all of that is unusable. And now I have to consider like upgrading to another iPad if I want to get that. And that's if Amazon creates an app that actually lets me zoom in because I can go buy an iPad tomorrow.
As far as I know,
it still wouldn't fix that problem.
Yeah, as far as I know, I'm going to look this up right now, but as far as I know, Comixology app, what are they? Is it the... what do they call the Apple store now? It's
that's a good question.
Let me see. Comixology.
I would just say
it's the App Store.
App Store.
Okay.
Just the App Store.
So apps.apple.com. Okay. So this is the exact same as far as I know. I'm going to send this link to you. in a separate window, Comics App Store. Sorry, folks, this is live podcasting, don't you know? So
this is the magic gone wrong.
Exactly. So as far as I know, yes, it is on it's on the App Store for the iOS devices, and it's on Google Play, because that's how I have it with the Google Pixel 6 Pro. All as I did was I just waited for the update to happen, and
man. So this is it. The first review on the app, because I also have an Android phone. The upgrade is a serious downgrade. Here's just some random person that just decided to, put their, what they're frustrated about, obviously. One of the best functions of the old app was that when you clicked on a graphic or issue, you could easily flip through sample pages. Now you have to download a sample. Worse, the old app used to link issues that were in it, and issues linked to the graphics that they were in, which made it easy to prevent double purchasing. That's completely gone. No wonder they forced us to download the new app nobody would use by choice. Amazon, you should be ashamed. Thank you, Vicky. You said exactly what we were thinking.
Yes, and like I said, folks, for me personally, and the other thing that I don't know that if they still have is, the Amazon, I know they have the option, send to USB device. Well, what is it? Like you said, it's some sort of Amazon file or something or other.
What it will do when you send to USB, it's basically putting that download onto your computer. Then you put a USB device in to connect to your Kindle, because it's only for Kindles. If this is the download options, the way that you can get it, how they have it set up on your computer, if you're doing that through your computer, it's specific. You're only going to be able to download it for a Kindle. So that file that gets transferred to your computer is the AZW3 file. And you have to convert that before you can basically hijack that file that you put on your computer. You have to change it so that it is an actual, that you could use.
So it's more
with
difficult.
Maybe a third-party app, that's basically what I'm going to be reduced to doing. Now, I cannot vouch yet for the quality, if the quality is downgraded. But here's another thing. So when I put all this on Twitter, I did have somebody reach out to me and say, actually, there is a way that you can download PDFs of the things that you have on Amazon now. She sent me a link. It is not in a very obvious area, obviously. I had to scroll back through my Twitter while we're talking here to find it. And to find out how do I, because apparently it's not in a very easy place. She said that she was looking around for hours before she found this link. So, it's definitely not in a place where you'd think that it's in the Comixology settings under your account. And I'm not even sure how to get to it other than the fact that I went and copied her link that she sent me over Twitter and popped it into a new screen. So, I haven't even looked at that either, so I'm not quite sure. But
if you want to look at that, I'm going
to literally is only going to go for their app or their device, which is the Kindle, which is
stupid
shit. It's shit. It's great for books. I'll say that. It's great for books. If you're just going to read text, if you're just going to read a normal book like a novel, Great Expectations, or 2,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Okay, you can find that, you can read it, but it is not a comic-friendly app, and it hasn't been a comic-friendly app since way back in 2017, probably further, but that's the last time I actually bought a comic on a Kindle to look at it, on a Kindle, mind, and it was still pretty crap. So, that being said, if you want to go through the process of downloading the AZW3 file, There are ways to do it. You have to Google it. You'll have to, I don't know what computer everybody else is using. I did this within 5-10 minutes. I had an option. I cannot vouch for the quality. I don't know what it's going to do to that. Or this other option, which I'm going to provide you the link so that it can go with this. And that way people can go, oh, okay, so I can get a PDF. And that being said, I did a little bit of research a couple of months ago, and these were the apps that I found that I think would work with my device. You'll have to look into give me just a second. I'm going to pull them up real quick. So there were about a list of 4 or 5, maybe more, but I probably decided on like 2 or 3 just because this is close enough to what I've gotten with Comixology. It is not Comixology. These are third-party apps that are not the same as Comixology, at least what they used to be. But maybe now that we've got the ripped-off Amazon version that's a total shattered glass nightmare, maybe these apps would actually be better. But I picked an app called Chunky, an app called Flow, and a comic app called iComics with a little I and the comic. Instead of having a C, it's doing the Comixology thing where it has an X on the end. They all have different, good things and bad things to them. I think there were like 3 or 4 other ones, and these were the 3 that I picked. And I put those on my iPad, and I think that they can. They probably had something to do with either a PDF or something similar to it, because I personally would rather have a PDF that I can view on my computer, pinch and do whatever I want with it, or put on my iPad. It's an old iPad, so it probably would take a while. I would probably just do single issues on that one, but we'll see.
So like I said, folks, all the links for all the stories that we're talking about, all the stuff I'm about to reveal to you, not that anyone has already seen this, but from Screen Rant, Patton Oswalt slams Comixology, changes as fans call out Amazon. And they, the writer of the article here on Screen Rant goes into the history of Comixology, which we've already kind of done. And then they link the tweets that Patton tweeted out. Oh, Comixology, what have you done? What's a better digital comics app than Comixology? Is CBR good? I need to switch now because holy shit.
Yeah.
And guys, just switch it back. You can do it. Come on, switch it back. And no hard feelings. If only. So what?
I guess the best thing that we can hope for is that potentially, now that they have merged, that Comixology pushes and pushes, and eventually, as Amazon drags its feet like it did over the last 5 years and did absolutely nothing, that eventually we may get to a point where we can Zoom, and we may get a point to where we can actually read some of the comics. But I just, like I said, I have a lack of confidence after they've known about this for 5 years, and they have done nothing to change what they already had. Like I said, since 2017 when I picked up that one comic. I'm sorry. I do not trust that these people are actually going to do anything. And I'm sorry to say that, I was ranting about this online, and it's like, I wish I could curse Amazon, but honestly, that curse is just going to get transferred to all of those people out there that were using Comixology as their ability to go direct to the consumer and not have to go to one of the big 3 publishing companies, and they could keep their own copyright and publish their stuff on Comixology. Those are the creators that are going to hurt through all of this.
So I know people are also going to tell us, oh, well, just go buy the print comics. I haven't read an actual, other than my buddy Ryan's Stealth Hammer #1, I have not read a print comic I haven't bought a print comic in over 9 years. And it's not that I don't want to support my local comic shops or anything like that. I'll go in there and buy toys or buy a Funko Pop, or I'll, find something that I've already read that I may want a print copy to frame or something like that to support the shop. But Patton Oswalt, in one of his other tweets, as he's going through this thread of his, said the same thing I said earlier in this episode. While I love going into the comic shop and picking up specifically a DC or a Marvel book, and on that book it has, hey, would you like to read this digitally? Add it to your Marvel Now or add it to your DC Unlimited app or whatever, and that's great. You have the physical comic, you have a free, quote-unquote, digital copy of it on the actual publisher's website from whichever, like I said, Marvel, DC, whatever. The thing about Comixology, again, said it a few hours ago, or however the hell long this episode's going to be, I don't know. I said it earlier with Ryan. Comixology was this amazing one-stop shop.
Yes.
You could get Marvel, DC, Dynamite, Dark Horse, Image, IDW, Top Shelf. You could get all these publishers in all one place.
And that's the other thing, is it was easy to flip through the books and find old ones as well as new ones. And all of the sales were right up on the front page. Everything was very functional, and it took them not that long to figure out some of the functionality of this. It's always been really functional, Comixology has been. But here's the other problem with this. Not everybody has a comic shop near them. Not everybody has a car or the ability to oh, yeah, I know some people that have said, hey, I don't even have a Comixology nearby me. Or I don't even have a comic store
nearby me.
I don't have a comic store. The one that they had closed a long time ago because whatever, the industry has been going through a flux. And let's be honest, comic shops, they carry a huge collection that they buy outright and turn around and sell to the consumer. And if they can't push out what they have, it's an investment, yes, but comics is a dying industry, and being digital was the one thing that was kind of helping bridge that gap between those that have the comics for sale and those that want to buy them. And this is going to have a huge effect on that digital ability, and it will have a huge dent on whether or not this industry is going to keep going for the next 20 years. And that's the sad part. I mean, It would be great. I do not actually I used to have a comic shop nearby me. I don't. Now I have to go and find where the next one is. I have 3 kids. Sometimes I can't even get, if I'm lucky to get dressed and get things done in one given day. And now I have to make a trek to the middle of the city to go get comics. And I'm like, the path of least resistance was so easy for me to just go on and do it digitally. Then on the top of that is that, there are a lot of books that I really like. And I'll be honest, I do have Audible. I listen to audiobooks. I go to my public library. I rent books. A lot of them happen to be audiobooks because I can listen to stuff while I'm going between picking kids up and dropping them off and taking them to therapy and dropping them off and waiting and dropping them off. I can listen to, 2 hours in the car. And actually, that's what I did today. I listened to 2 hours while I was dropping kids off and picking them up from school and then taking to therapy. I listened to 2 hours of an audiobook. So that's while I'm commuting and doing other things. But when it comes to comics, it's easier for me to have that. And it also doesn't make me have to have a specific room in my house set aside for all the literature that I want to read or all the comics books that I have. And I've got bins full of comics. Let me tell you, I've got bins of that. And if it makes it easier to hey, I don't have to buy a physical one, but I can give my money to an artist by buying a creator-owned comic on Comixology or whatever other digital domain that I can pick up stuff, that really works for me. And that really helps me be able to hey, it's digital. So it's hey, you remember back when we were kids and everybody had the hugest VHS collection because they liked movies and they wanted to collect that. It's now we don't need that anymore. But this makes it so that now we do actually need to go backwards. So anybody that says, oh, well, you just have to physically get the physical ones. Okay, how many of you actually out there have a VHS collection that you still have.
That still functions, yeah.
That still functions. Hey, how would you like it if they just said no more VCRs? We're not making those anymore.
Nope, go back to Betamax.
Go back to go back to one earlier before that, or you know what? Hey, you've got all of these VHS tapes, and now you can't play it on anything because now you can't get a new copy. You know, because it's been like they pressed the nuclear button that made every single VHS in the whole United States and everywhere in the world just stop working. Yeah. I think you'd be pretty pissed. I think you'd be really pissed. And
Absolutely.
That's exactly that is the equivalent of what's going on right now. Yes, we do have streaming now. Yes, you don't have to worry about that. And yes, everybody now you can equate the VHS now to DVDs or Blu-rays
or streaming. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah, and so like I have those too. I don't have a lot of them. I had a whole lot more VHS than I do for DVDs because now it's so easy. It's streaming. But this is the equivalent of that. Comixology was the equivalent of a comic stream.
Yeah,
they could get things, and not only that is that they had it so that it was on a server online. It was out in the cloud somewhere. You paid for an account. You bought comics. It was easily accessible on Comixology. Now we have to download all of that content if we can. Hopefully with the link that they gave you, that it'll give PDF links. And who knows, if too many people start like abusing that, maybe Amazon will turn that off at any given moment.
Exactly. So the thing of it is, folks, is that yes, in the grand scheme of life and the universe and everything, we know this is a small problem. But
it is a small problem.
Running
it
a
is
comic
a big problem
book
for a lot of people.
I'm saying, like, in the grand scheme of things.
Yes. If the world was melting down.
It isn't because Amazon fucked Comixology up. It's because something else happened. My point is that I have spent, and you a lot longer than me doing your Underbase show at the time when you were doing it, but the Pull Bag just celebrated is just about to, because by the time this episode releases, it'll be our 9-year anniversary on March 6th.
You have officially outgrown the Underbase, just saying.
Okay, so 9 years. In 9 years, can you imagine how much money I have put into buying comics on the old Comixology website?
Yeah.
That's why I brought up the archiving thing, the fact that the archiving is not a thing anymore. And I'm like, wait, what? Oh my God, I've read all of this. It would be nice to read it again, but I read the comics to discuss them and review them on the podcast. Like, I'll read a comic like an hour before we're supposed to record, so it's fresh in my mind. And we'll go through again. It's all your fault. We'll go through the comic as we're discussing it, so we can go through that guided view and see that amazing zoomed in image of Beast Wars Megatron punishing Waspinator or something. Like,
and
something.
I feel your pain because I also, I do have a pretty good collection of comics online too, now that I don't have access to them because, shit. Somebody give me the big middle finger and stole it all.
Yes.
Because they had to go to Amazon.
I am not going to sit here and reveal Lady Rex's location, folks, but she has said plenty of times online that she is in Arizona.
Yeah.
I am going to list several named shops, which I assume are in your area. Samurai Comics on East Indian School Road.
Good 30-minute, 40-minute drive if I'm lucky.
Collectors Marketplace, same. Oh Lord, Ash Avenue.
Oh, Collectors Marketplace. Yeah, they don't really have a comic collection that I remember. I know who runs it, and I'm friends with the owner. I haven't been there for a while, but it's mostly for toys. I mean, they do have comics there, but it's a toy collector.
Okay.
They might have really old school comics there, collector's editions or collectibles, but I don't. They're not a dedicated comic place.
Yeah. So the only other thing that I think we haven't gone over yet is the alternatives, and we've kind of mentioned them a little bit, but there is a link that will be in the show notes from the Comics Beat or the Beat or whatever the website's called, they list 4 different things that you can do. Publisher-specific digital sites, which we've talked about, like DC Comics and Dark Horse and IDW and Image and all that. Publisher-specific subscriptions, like the Marvel one or the DC Infinite Universe, whatever the DC comic app is now. Mm-hmm. Humble Bundle actually does a lot of cool things with comics and things. So there's that. And as you've already mentioned, and as our good buddy, the comic concierge, Dan Clark, will say, your local library. That's great for those people that can read comics that way. I can't read comics that way anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at, like, doing exactly what you did. I'm looking to see, and there's just some things that are like, okay, I know that some of these are just literal bookstores that I know will maybe have a small little section of comics. But literally the closest one to me is about 40 minutes away in the middle of, like, downtown, deep in the heart of Phoenix, and I'm not close enough to any of these to say. I mean, let's just say this: when I first started out collecting, I went to a local place that was literally right down next to Walgreens, and the guy, I got to know him pretty quick, because I happened to be one of the few chicks that were going into his store that were, going to get Transformer comics. And he's like, is this for your boyfriend? And I said, no, it's for me. I run a podcast. And he was like, you run a podcast? You're a chick and you're buying comics? Okay, so I got to know the guy. I went to a couple of conventions here in Phoenix, and I'd come by his booth and, I'd buy stuff from him. And then he closed after about a year because the industry was just how it is, and comic shops come, and they go. And after that, I still got comics from him. I went to him direct. He didn't have a location. He was buying comics, and we did drop-offs. And let me tell you, it was really reminiscent of, I felt like he was dealing comics. Mm-hmm. He's literally like, we would meet at a designated time, and he would drop off comics, and I would send him money. And I thought, this is so much like a drug drop. It's not even funny. And we did that for quite a while until he stopped doing that too. And that was my close fix. And then another store opened, I think, a year after that, and I got to know them too. And they had a pull list and all of that fun stuff. And it wasn't too far, and I got a chance to go down and get those. But that place is closed now too. And like I said, 40 minutes away to go and get stuff. And when you walk in and people are like, oh, you don't look like the comic person that we expect. You look like a mom and you're driving a minivan because I saw you drive up, and you're like, oh, you must be here for something for your son or for your husband or blah, blah, blah. And you're like, no, it's actually for me. And they're like, okay. And they're like, is this person legit? It's like, it gets a little frustrating. But, I mean, going and getting, granted, I can actually get some of these when they're collected. And that's another problem, because right now IDW is losing the license for the comics that I want to read. And if they don't push it out, they don't publish it in the next year, which they usually don't, I'm not going to have an opportunity to get these collected. And I'm not really happy about that either. So, could be a couple years before I actually be able to complete my collection. And that really bothers me, because I want to stay up on it, but I'm like, the path of least resistance, and it comes down to psychology. A person that buys, if they find out that it's been great and easy for years, and they stop having that ease, and they have to roll it back like a decade to how they were buying things a decade ago to get what they want, it's just going to make it that much harder, and the industry is going to take a hit. And that's what really, really bothers me, because this is a good industry. There are some really, really good books out there. And for a mom that has ADHD kids, and I've read all these experiences of parents that are like, hey, my kid doesn't read. And then somebody puts a comic in their hands, and all of a sudden they become this avid reader. And now here we are years later, and they're actually reading textbooks, books that have like novels. And it's like, it's worth it to keep this around. And it's really, really scary that this is happening right now.
Yeah. So there's somebody else on Twitter, Steve Morris. He's worked for Comics Alliance and other places, and the tweet that is in the article that I will link in the show notes, he says, in addition to everything else, the Comixology downgrade is going to mean nobody gets credited apart from an quote-unquote author. Now, colorists, inkers, letterers, all excised from the online shop, which is stupid because you wouldn't have an actual visual comic without the letterers, the colorists, the inkers, the line drawers, all of that.
Yes. You're going to have just the writer, and maybe I don't even think in some of these instances that even the publishing company is even credited.
No, not at all. I've got a tweet here from Gail Simone, writer extraordinaire. She wrote Batgirl. She's wrote other things.
And she's fantastic. You have to follow her if you have her on social media.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've been following her for years. I've been wanting to interview her on this podcast for years. So this is from February 17th. She says, I have spent a small fortune, haven't we all, on Comixology. The changes sound really poorly considered at best. They sent an email today that updates will be forthcoming. I hope so. This is not at all what I purchased. And she's right. And like you've said, and like I've said, and like everybody else that's, me and Ryan and Nicholas Finch and everybody else in this podcast so far, how much money we have chosen because we wanted to read the comics in the way that comics are. Like, I've been trying to sell people on the guided view technology for years.
And you say guided view technology because it was really great to be able to, like, literally, you have your iPad or your phone.
Yep.
You just barely tap on the screen. It gives you the next panel. You can pinch. You can blow it up. Do all of those things. And when you're ready for the next one, you can click the next one. It's an idea of basically finding, going from panel to panel without having the whole page revealed. Yeah. And it's great because sometimes they'll even like the next they'll focus, like if you have a panel that's got 2 or 3 things going on in it, it'll focus on one part of the panel, then to the next, then to the next. So you can literally not be spoiled in one panel or flipping the page like sometimes some people have in the past. And it's made it so that it's sequential. Yeah. And it's a great technology, and it's kind of more of an idea that makes it so that you can like experience comics in a new way. And it was very great. And that's now been ripped away. We don't have that anymore.
I mean, the only place you have it is in the Comixology app for phones and tablets. That's really the only place you have guided view anymore.
Now I have to think about getting an upgrade because mine have been outdated already. I mean, and I don't want to use it on my phone, I'll be honest, because it's a small screen.
Right. But honestly, if that's the only way that I can read the comics and actually be able to do it, I'm going to use it for as long as I can until Amazon decides to kill that too. And you know what, folks? Most podcasts don't last 9 years. I'm not saying I'm going to end this thing at 500 episodes. I'm not saying we may even, I've got a few episodes in the can that I've recorded months ago now that you're going to hear my buddy Jesse and I talking about Comixology and Guided View and Power Rangers and all that stuff because we're coming up on Mighty Morphin March for Power Rangers. But, nice. We recorded those months ago before any of this happened. So I have to put a disclaimer in front of those saying, hey, this is this, this is this, this is this. And then when I get to do a new episode, I'm just going to read it on my phone and be fine and just say, hey, folks, I'm going off my phone from the Comixology app, which is the way that it should be with the guided view technology. And again, like you've already said, with guided view technology, it was storyboard reading, and it made the comic more exciting because you didn't look, you go into a comic shop, you get, I don't know, Long Halloween. I'll throw that out there because Batman: The Long Halloween, a lot of people do throw that out there, but most people, when they throw out, industry leading, breakthrough comics, they'll go to Frank Miller and Dark Knight Returns. But let's talk about The Long Halloween, okay? You go out, you go get the physical trade, whatever. You can open it, you can read it page by page, but your eyes aren't going to focus on a single panel, on a single discussion. Your eyes are going to focus on the whole of page 1, the whole of page 2, the whole
now
point.
That's all you have.
Yeah.
Now that's all you have. You can't just go from panel to panel. You have the whole page, and you can't make it bigger. It's
you might as well just buy physical comics. I don't want to sit here and say digital comics are dead, because like I said, the Comixology app itself still seems to retain guided view for now. And I have been asking that. I would tweet at least once or twice a month over the last 3.5-4 years to the comics support on Twitter. Hey, what's going to happen to guided view? I don't want guided view to go away. I didn't sit there and I didn't at them and say, don't fuck this up. But seriously, don't fuck this up. Well, look at what they did with the website. I don't know. And I know this is a lot of us, more me than anything else, bitching about things. But folks, like I said, if I can't do it the way that works for me and the way that I am enjoying, I enjoy reading the comics the way I've been reading them the last 9 years with the guided view. With, again, it adds tension. It adds this. You never know what it's. Guided view technology from Comixology, from the Comixology company. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, because every panel is a surprise, and it's a story-driven thing along with the amazing, in, what is it? I want to say 80, 90 years of comics, however the hell long, 1939, 1938, Superman, Batman, whatever, hell, even before then. But, 70, 80 years, 90 years of comics up until, I want to say 2013, it might have been earlier than this because I know you had already been doing it. So let's say somewhere between 2011 and 2013.
Yeah.
Find guided.
I started in 2010, so.
Okay, well, let's 2010. Find guided view. In 2010, 1940, whatever that math adds out, 50, 60, 70 years, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we can do something for the first time that we could never have done before.
Yeah.
We can read a comic where the art is magnificently placed.
And it's not just, on top of that, it was viewable on lots of multiple platforms.
Yep.
We had the app. You could also put it on your phone. You could put it on any digital device. If you have an iPad, great. If you had something that was by Microsoft, great. You could also go through a computer and have a computer platform to see, and all of the same functions that you had on a device were also on a computer screen. And all of those things have been taken away. That's it's gone from being incredibly versatile and basically download and get what you want to hard to find, hard to see, hard to look at. It's only really visible. The best is on the Kindle because that's what it's all been downgraded to. You can't even find places, not obvious places, to go find your collection and download it onto your own computer. And, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem for a while. And look at the track record, and it's like, wow, okay, so Amazon, what's holding you back? Because right now we already know that you've had the ability to change this for a while, and all you wanted to do is push the Kindle.
Yeah.
Think outside the box.
And the Kindle,
be innovative, because the Kindle is still a small single platform that has limitations, and you've not tried to push the limitations of that.
And the Kindle has always been, to me, it is an e-reader for books. Yeah. If you don't want to go out, which I don't know why anyone
comics are not e-readers. I'm sorry, they are not the same.
It's not the same at all. Again, that's why I'm glad at least on mobile and maybe even on tablets you have the iOS or the Google Play Comixology app, which it's got a new look, it's got some different features in it, but you still have the option to do guided view and things like that.
Well, that's good to hear.
I'll just don't
check it out on my phone.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that.
You just don't have the option to do that on a damn computer anymore.
No, you don't.
It should
taken away.
Yeah, the way it should be done. So I think we're gonna. Oh no!
Uh-oh, that sounds bad.
I went to. Damn it! I was gonna get you the Google Play link to. And it said in the Google Play Store update. I'm scared now because I thought my app was already updated. Okay, good. No, I still have guided view.
Okay.
Okay, good. Whew. That was scary, folks.
It's sad when you're like, you dread every little update now, because if it takes something away, then you're like sweating bullets going, please don't do that. Please. Oh, no. Don't push install. Please don't push install.
Yeah. And
I don't have that old of a phone. It's only a year old.
Yeah.
Just on the course of you talking and me talking, I have found there is an area. Again, I will provide this link because it's not an obvious link. And even when you get to the page, it doesn't say, hey, click here to download your comic books. It's like, you got to click on a couple links before you find it. And then you can get a CBZ or a PDF. And again, I don't know how the quality of these are, because I can tell you right now, when I downloaded Comixology PDFs, they were really good quality. So I'm hoping that these are just literally transferred over and have not been touched, and that I can still download these things. And that will really help me so that I don't have to take an AZW3 and convert it, because conversion is not equal on all things.
Oh no, not at all.
It's just, and I know a little bit of the functionality with the Kindle is quite literally they wanted to make it so easy so that you could put loads of books. Like, say you're going on vacation for a month and you love to read books everywhere. Mm-hmm. You want to put like over 60 books on your Kindle. With a tablet with just text, you don't need to have really good quality. It just needs to be quality enough for you to be able to read the text.
Yeah, you just need to be able to read the text. No.
Not the same for comic books. You have to have bigger versions because it's not about just the text. Yeah. It's about the complete artwork. Like, you are looking at different panels on a specific piece of paper. Mm-hmm. And it's not like you can't make it smaller and think, oh, yeah, I'll be able to read that. It's like, no, you'll be able to see it from a distance and not get any part of the story at all. And that's the problem that we've been having with the Kindle right now. If you can't zoom, you can't read it because it's too tiny. And even with a regular laptop screen, I still can't see it. And even if I take my glasses off and look really close at the screen, I can't see it. So I can't read these comic books anymore. So until they change this, that's the other problem, is that it's completely unreadable. You have a book that you can access, but it's unreadable any other way except through pinching and going through I guess the Comixology app now. If you have a cell phone and their cell phone screen, you can pinch in there and look at it, I guess.
Well, but with the Comixology app that is still on iOS and Google Play stores, it's the same. There's a few things, but it still has, if you double tap, it still takes you to guided view.
Okay, well, that's good.
So guided view is still there on the Comixology app. Fuck Kindle. Forget Kindle. Kindle ain't shit. Don't even talk to me about Kindle.
But you know that Amazon is going to push the Kindle because that's all that matters to Amazon.
But Amazon doesn't. Yes, but they don't understand that they haven't made a Kindle Water or a Kindle Ice or a Kindle Aurora whatever the Kindle Fire.
A Kindle Toilet is what I want to see.
Exactly. And on that shitty note, folks, I think we need to
that shit all away.
And on that shitty note, folks, I think it's time to wrap this up. Like I said, all these links will be in the show notes if you go to geekcastradio.com and go to our website link. I will try my best to continue doing reviews inside the pull bag. Like I said, my buddy Jesse and I recorded a bunch of Power Rangers things for March of 2022 before all of this happened. So you'll hear us, going ooh, gaga all over the Comixology website.
Back when the cognitive dissonance is it really...
Yeah.
It's aged badly. 2 weeks and it's aged badly.
Yeah. It took it only feels like it's been 2 days. It doesn't feel like it's been 2 weeks. It feels like it's been 2 days and I have nothing but rage towards Amazon. I keep seeing the ads and whatever for the new season of the Amazon Prime show Upload, which I absolutely loved the first season. Yeah. I'll explain. If you don't know what Upload is, I'll explain it to you later. But anyway, it's one of the Amazon Prime originals. So you can only watch it if you have,
it's cute.
You can only watch it if you have Amazon Prime, yada, yada, yada. I don't even want to resubscribe to Amazon Prime to watch the new season of that show because I don't want to give Amazon a goddamn dime.
Yeah.
At all. Yeah. And I just don't. It's just so frustrating and it.
Well,
I'm gonna say yes.
I'll say this. I'm sure that somebody, now that the hole has been created, there's an opening now for some other app, some other place to come up and say, hey, Comixology used to be the bomb. Now we're going to be the bomb. And they'll come in and fill that hole. And you know what? Better power to them. The minute I see that happen, I'm going to be 100% behind that, and I'm going to check them out. And I'll be like, oh, yeah. You bet. I would really, really love to be able to say that the next best thing, and hopefully they won't be as blind and naive as Comixology was to think that this was ever going to go any other way.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't feel it. It feels wrong, man. It just feels wrong.
I mean, I even went to the IDW website to see if the app, and I know that that each publishing platform has their own, like DC, Marvel, all those places.
Yep.
It was the convenience of having a one-stop shop, one-stop buy. Everything was in one app. The stuff that I liked on Marvel, the stuff that I liked on IDW, the stuff that I liked over here was all integrated into one place, and it made it easy. And they worked out their copyrights and CBZ and PDF and all of that stuff. And it was just easy. It made it easy to integrate. And again, like I said, that's the problem with all of this is that you get in a good habit. We were very spoiled as comic fans to be able to have everything one-stop shop.
Yeah.
And now that's been taken away, and it's going to make it harder. It's like I said, it's like we've rewound a decade of our lives back to where it was a decade ago. And
you didn't even have your third son yet.
Some people, I know, I hadn't even had my third son yet. Yeah. When all this went down, I wasn't even expecting him. I hadn't even gotten pregnant yet. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's how long we've taken to have this merge happen, is the fact that this deal had already been made, 8 years ago. It's crazy to me that they couldn't decide on a date. You couldn't give us the decency after having bought them and saying, oh, the merge is going to happen for years. Mm-hmm. Now it's down to weeks, months, and you can't decide on a date? The hell are you thinking?
Yeah, it's like they're on some sort of drug or something. I don't know. And here's the thing, folks. At the point in time that this all started, Zane wasn't even an apple in y'all's eye.
Zane's my third kid, just in case you didn't know that. Yeah.
He
wasn't.
We were all.
The merger happened in April. I didn't get pregnant for another month after that.
Yeah. So it's been, the 9 years. Yeah, 8 years, 9 years, whatever it is. And here's the thing. You, as a mother, and I'm sure you would want to do this with your middle and your oldest child as well.
Yeah.
You want them to be able to experience comics in a way.
Oh, absolutely.
That is going to engage. If Karen,
at this point, I'm going to have even if I wanted to bring it up, because the only thing I have at this point is going to be a computer screen. I don't have a Kindle. I have an iPad that's too old. I have a phone that's tiny. I mean, comparatively to my computer screen and my iPad screen, the phone is tiny. And now, okay, so I have merged all my comics. They're available. They can access the Amazon website and watch Amazon Prime. They can look at comics. But here's the problem with that. Again, the only thing I'm limited now to is just the computer interface. And they're not going to be able to read this. They're not going to be able to. So I do have hard copies, thank heavens. And my sons are actually reading through quite a few of those. And they've got at least another, well, let's just say, I think they're volume 4 of 20 volume thing of comics that I have. So, I mean, I'm not saying, it's like, I'm saying I've got comics. They got plenty to read.
Yeah, but again, it's the experience. That's what Guided View was. It was an experience because
they wanted to do it on a computer screen. I could quite literally do that. Now I'm like, it would be really great. And this is throwing out free ideas. Hey, Amazon, if you want to fix this and you want to fix it so the computer interface works a little bit better, that would be great. That would be the first place to start, because then anybody has a computer screen. They can view it and they can zoom in and they can use everything. If you can do that, I'll be much happier. But it'd be really cool is if on our TV screens you can access your comics and you can literally flip through on a huge screen like that where you can read it. Because I have a huge TV downstairs, and you can literally sit there and talk to your kids about it while you're reading it. It's like, I can think of some really good ideas that they have not, that Comixology never explored, that now Amazon can. It's just, again, they have not proven themselves because they've had this thing sitting in there since 2014, and has anything improved since then? No. So I'm kind of hoping that, they're going to prove us wrong. They're going to be like, oh yeah, now that we have all of this, now we have to change our Kindle app so that it'll start giving the options for comic book readers, not just book readers. And we won't put them listed as bastard, media in the book section as if they're the same exact damn thing, which they're not.
Feels like, the 1940s, the 1950s. What do you got in your hand, kid? Is that a comic book? Don't read that.
Oh, that's a dirty thing. You shouldn't be. You're too good for those comic books.
Yeah, it just... It has taken, yes, could I continue the pullback? Yes, we could figure out discussions. We could I can continue doing the origins and getting various people's, but
I guess I can download these PDFs and send them your way.
Yeah, it's fine. Like I said,
as a PDF, you could at least look at it on a computer screen.
It's okay. But the point is that, the future of this podcast now relies on the fact that as long as the Comixology app in the Google Play Store does not update and take away guided view, I will continue to do comic reviews. As far as the future of the show, like if I continue to find guests to do the 30 questions about how they get into or out of reading comics, I could do that, but the podcast would probably end up going monthly instead of weekly, which is fine. That's not a problem. I don't mind.
It's funny
doing
that you said how they got into or out of comics.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, this is probably one of the biggest outs right now.
Like before 2013, before Steve showed me Death of the Batman, New 52 Batman issue number 13, it was Death of the Family Part 1. Before he showed that to me, I respected comics. I liked comics. I hadn't had a physical comic in my hand since like 1995 at that point. So this was like 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
So again, for the past 9 years, all this time and effort into recording and having fun with people like Lady Rec, with people like Ryan the Enemy Flo Merkley, with getting, sort of introduced or throwing myself into the hat to Nicholas Finch to say, hey, would you like to come on the show and talk about this kind of thing? And like I said, we are going to have Nicholas back on for a full episode kind of thing, but it just... I hate change when change is not improving. Like, if they were going to just like I've already said, directly copy paste, take what the Comixology website was and paste it into Amazon, fine. Fuck Kindle. I don't care about your fucking Kindles.
Yes,
Kindle is not, well, like you said, Kindle is not comics. Kindle is books.
Kindle is books, and books and comic books are not the same thing. They are not equal. They're not equal.
Because
I say this, I love to read. I love books. I was introduced to comic books as an adult because again, for the same reasons where we just kind of illustrated a few minutes ago, where those comic books aren't for you. And I didn't get into that until I was an adult. And so there's a lot about comics that I've interviewed people that have been in the industry their whole lives that are so much more understanding of where it came from, where it's been, and where it's going. That there's some really, really good stuff with this. Yep. It's definitely an art form, and there are some really, really amazing people out there that are working in the industry today. And the introduction of digital just made it so much more accessible to people like me, to people that just didn't think that comics was for them until they tried it. And so it's just, you're right. If you're going to get an upgrade forward, because when digital came out, I slowly went to it. I didn't just all of a sudden pick up and say, hey, digital is the best thing ever. I was because I had also picked up issues, and it got to the point where it worked better for me. And that's why I switched wholly over to it. And I've literally been on that digital wagon for a good 3 years, and I've invested because I figured, hey, Comixology and Amazon, they're not going to screw this up. Why would they do that? All of this money that we're investing in, why would they do? Yeah, famous last words. But the point that I'm getting at is that if you're going to move forward, if you're going to change forward, great. But if you go back, that's a completely different ball game. You're going to have people lose in the industry. You're going to have readers just say, I guess this is it. This is the end.
And that's kind of where I am because, like I said, yes, I still have the Comixology app, and as long as it stays the way that it is, as long as I can access guided view and actually be able to read the comic, that's fine. I will continue doing reviews. But if that ever goes away, or if that ever changes, or whatever, then I will end this podcast and move on to something else, and my comics journey has come to an end because I don't have a way to, and again, and people who have listened to this podcast and all of our episodes and whatever over the years know I read through the comic like 3 times to do an episode of this show. Mm-hmm. First, I read through and I pay attention to the story, and I get the text and the story and whatever, and it's in my head, and I can hear, Frank Welker Galvatron in my head or whatever, whatever. And then I go back through and I appreciate the art, because that was the other great thing with Guided View. Yes, you have these artists drawing these amazing images on a full page, but what Guided View did was gave you an explosion of a visual experience that you cannot get by holding a physical book, because it puts you in a place of, holy shit, I'm on Cybertron standing next to Optimus Prime.
It's one step down, I'd say, from motion comics, which was kind of a little bit of a kitschy thing that happened. And I say kitschy. It wasn't.
You're not wrong.
No, it was a little niche thing that happened like 2017. No, 2012 to 2015. Something like that. It was because I still have that, but like Madefire doing their motion comics and having sound effects, and I hope eventually someday they go back to that. That was a really fun little thing that they did, and honestly, I know that the comics that I bought there, also another second, third, fourth dip to have it as a motion comic. How they did with Autocracy was fantastic, and they had you had audio, and it was really well done. I hope that's not off the the moving forward plate, because it would be really great if they could do stuff like that too. It's definitely an investment. Yeah. But again, that's stuff that I did get back. I invested at least $100 in that to have that, and it was great while I had it, and now it's gone. So I'm not going to say that I'm super bent out of shape. I knew that was going to eventually happen, that I could, hey, I'm going to buy these motion comics and they're not going to be around for long, so enjoy them while you have them. Yep. And I did. But this is different. This is
completely
game changing.
Yeah, this is game changing.
An industry of if they can't fix this, there will be people all over the world that for whatever reason they can't have physical copies, that if it makes it, if it's too hard to go find, too hard to navigate, too hard to look at, too hard to, it's an industry killer. How this is gonna, the industry will have a hard time bouncing back from this, which will affect the livelihoods of many artists, many colorists, many letterers, many people that are out doing the thing that they love right now. And these little hits like this, there's only an industry can only take so much. So
yeah, and yeah, exactly,
and a podcast too, obviously.
It is what it is. What can I do to change this? I can't do anything to change this, because the deal has already been made. The deal has already been, But again, they could have looked at it and said, okay, people like this way, so let's, as I already said, let's just copy and paste so what they like and what worked will work. Yes, we want to be... In
theory, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, in theory, that makes sense. Sadly, make no damn sense. It just...
We're going in circles here.
Yes, we are. And we need to,
It's about my bedtime.
It's past my, it's freaking, oh God, it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah, well, I'm an hour later than you, so.
10 o'clock is when the monsters come out, folks.
See you in your dreams.
And Amazon will see you in the nightmares.
Oh, jeez. Amazon's going to light the fires. Welcome to hell.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You think you want comics? We're burning all your comics today.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
It's
don't do it. Don't do it. I've gone from rage to numbness to now just outright. You know what? Shit is real, man. It's gonna come for you.
Yes, it is. You know, it's like the band AJR's song "Burn the House Down." You know, used to keep it cool.
Burned.
Used to be a fool. Yeah, I mean, it's yeah. So it just, we got to get out of here, folks. Like I said, you're going to hear some content that has been recorded in the past before all this mess throughout March. I don't know what's going to happen with the pull bag after that pre-recorded content, because even though, as I've been saying, I have the Comixology app on my phone. I can read them the way that I used to read them on the computer. It's just on my phone. That's fine. However, with this news and this change and all this shit, it makes me not want to read comics. It makes me like, I'm not going to go back to physical comics. I just can't. I just can't. I would rather just stop and be fine not doing it. And I'm not going to sit here and record a podcast that, I have to read through this half-zoomed page of Amazon's Kindle bullshit. I'm not going to do that, because that makes for bad podcasting. And, you know, all good things come to an end.
How can you adequately, profess how awesome this comic is if you can't even see what the artwork is, because or even what's being said. I mean, the quality needs to be up there to be able to do that, because it is a visual media, not just it's just text. You just read it, and no, it's not that either. So
no,
I 100%. I hope that it doesn't come to that. In a perfect world, I wish I could fast forward 2 years and say, oh yeah, they're going to fix all of this, but I can't, and I hope for the best. I hope that it doesn't work like that, but it's not looking very positive. We'll just say that. Past behavior predicts future behavior, and we already know. I already said several times, Amazon's really been kind of just going their own pace. They don't need to go any pace more than that, because they've already, Kindle is what they're gonna.
They've already fucked it up. I've said it multiple times in this episode now. They done fucked it up. And I don't like that at all, because we're going in circles now. So where can the people find you online so they can, agree or disagree with you?
Okay, so you can find me on the Twitter, and we're not all angry there, honestly. Some of us are, but I granted all of the stuff that's going on, I'm not as angry about it. I'm like, okay, it is what it is. I've got a couple options. I'm going to be jumping ship when it comes to the app. If I can download stuff, we'll see how it goes. But you can find me on the Twitter. It's Lady of Rec at Twitter. And how about you, Mike? Where can good people find you?
This is why I do podcasts, folks. So I don't go on multiple, 1/?? threads of Twitter posts, so I could just do it in a 2, 3, however the hell long this podcast is going to be. I don't even know now. I am at TFG1 Mike. You can also follow Ryan. He is at Nightbeat, and Nicholas Finch is at Obnoxious Finch on Twitter. So that's where we all can be found to discuss with us things that relate to the comics industry and what's going on with our precious guided view. I swear to God. So make your great escape into comics if you want to, and we will catch you next time here inside the Bull Bag.
Spike, look at you. Just turn around and walk away. Spike!
You're a bloody puppet!
You're a wee little puppet man. Ow! Hey, that's enough.
Angel, what the hell happened to you? You look ridiculous.
Get out of here, Spike.
Oh my God, Angel, you're...
Shut up! What are you people looking at? Well?
They're looking at the wee little puppet man.
You're fired.
You've just heard the latest episode of The Pull Bag, the GCRN's first comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate and leave a review for the show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Become a fan of us on Facebook, facebook.com/thepullbag. Send us an email, feedback at geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at thepullbag and at geekcastradio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.
Who's afraid of the big black bat? No more tricks, Edward. Very well then. Let's get real.